Hey guys, BaoZakeruga here. The latest issue of GameInformer has dropped some interesting new Persona 5 news from director Katsuro Ashino himself. So I thought, you know what, I'll read this entire thing for you and give you the new details, because some of this is pretty interesting and stuff we have not known before. And after each segment, I might give you my personal thoughts here and there on what's been said. So anyways, let's get started. So the interviewer first states, Persona is known for confronting difficult topics. What different issues did you want to tackle with this cast? And he says, each of the characters, including the protagonist, has the mindset that, for one reason or another, they no longer have a place where they belong in society. So when they get a hold of the Isekai Navi, which is a Japanese term for something in the game, which allows them to enter another world and steal the malicious intent from others' hearts, they find new kinship and a sense of belonging in becoming these phantom thieves, and throw themselves headlong into helping others and reforming society with their own hands. The ones that stand in their way are adults. In other words, the traditional authority figures who dictate every aspect of these teenagers' lives. And in Persona 5, the story takes a different spin. Rather than getting drawn into a strange case, the team throws themselves into the fray. Through their actions, they draw the attention of an even greater enemy. That's how the game sets in motion. So, it seems these protagonists are a bit more proactive than your normal ones, especially the ones we've seen in past Persona games where stuff happens and as a result our characters get dragged in. These guys are like head on into the fray, want to mix it up, so that's cool. Next part. Let's talk about the main cast, the protagonists, Anne, Ryuji, Yusuke, and Morgana. What do you think makes each cast member interesting? And his response was, the protagonist himself has a similar character as the heroes from the previous games, silent and cool, where you don't always know what he's thinking. This is mainly because we want the player to be able to empathize and identify with the protagonist so he can better serve as the player's avatar during the game. However, since he's something of a roguish anti-hero leading this story of thrilling phantom heists, we've added a nuance of brash audacity to his character. Ryuji meets the protagonist in April on the first day of school and ends up a crucial part of starting the group of phantom thieves. With a shared secret and their loyal reliance on each other, he and the protagonist make great partners in crime. He has kind of a mischievous personality, and through their exploits as the phantom thieves, he wants to reform society and make their names infamous around the world. Anne is one of the game's heroines. Since she's lived abroad, she has a distinct foreign air about her that draws people's attention. However, they also tend to keep her at an emotional distance because of it. Yusuke has great artistic talent and has been seen as an oddball who thinks differently from most people. Lastly, there's Morgana. At first glance, you might assume he or she is merely the mascot character of this title, but he or she is quite well informed on the strange other world, more so than the protagonist and his team. Morgana takes the role of a prideful instructor and has a very particular set of standards for the expected aesthetics and conduct of a phantom thief. Sorry, that was a long sentence. However, even Morgana has no idea of his or her own origins and quests in search of those answers. And Alice purposely wants to keep Morgana's gender, a mystery, although Morgana, as far as I know, is not a unisex name, but whatever. So on to the next one. What makes these characters different from past casts? And his answer is, as I mentioned before, unlike Persona 3 and 4, the protagonist and his team in this story aren't being dragged in some sort of case or a major crisis to resolve. The story begins with each of them looking for a sense of identity and seeking to reform society with their own will. Picaresque heroes are fun, and you might enjoy their exploits or admire them in a work of fiction, but whether you'd actually want to be like them is a whole different story, isn't it? That's our stance in this game, a group of high school kids dreaming of becoming mass vigilantes, trying to cause a big stir in society. It's quite different from the previous game's protagonists, who had no choice but to solve the mysteries they were confronted with. We think that sense of agency is one of the charms of this title, and as developers, is one of our aspects we're most excited to bring to you. Next question, how are they connected to their alter egos, aka their personas? Including the protagonist who summons Arsene, Lupin, French author Maurice Leblanc's Gentleman Thief, none of them are avid fans of particular works of literature. In the palace, a world that exists within people's hearts, the general public's love toward famous, fictional, picaresque heroes manifest as personas for the team, who aspire to become mass vigilantes themselves. Their mischievous sides, suppressed during their day-to-day school life, are released and visualized in the palace as their respective Phantom Thief guises. Likewise, the persona's appearance reflects the corresponding team member's personality. So pretty much when they go to this world, their personas take on the form of whatever their true personality is, just like in past games. And also interesting, this confirms that they can't summon their personas in the real world, just like 3 and 4, because if you haven't played the previous games, they could summon their personas in the real world, but 3 and 4 changed that, so they're keeping that aspect. And next up we have, since the protagonist and Morgana live together, do they share a special bond? And his answer was, Morgana is pursuing a certain objective and sees the protagonist's awakened power persona in a pragmatic light, a useful tool to help achieve their goal. Thus, Morgana always remains close to the protagonist and advises him on his actions. We can't go into any more detail right now, but the relationship between the protagonist and Morgana is much closer than others you've seen in previous titles. So this is something I did not know. Morgana and protagonist live together, and apparently Morgana is kinda sorta not really using the protagonist to pursue its own goals, but yeah, it sounds interesting. And the fact that their relationship is closer than we've seen in past games makes me really curious. And the final thing. Lastly, a message from Hoshino to all American fans looking forward to Persona 5. The adaptation of the Phantom Thief genre of crime fiction may give the impression that the game might be built on a predictable premise or cliches, but all aspects of the game are cohesive with the underlying theme and background of Persona 5. We put a great deal of effort and thought into its execution. We tried to mix a sense of familiarity with the supernatural and show how things one might naturally encounter or deal with in daily life might actually be connected to something far more extraordinary. The story is set in Japan, but we believe the theme is universal. Mankind's tendencies to each view the world through their own individuality, distorted sense of reality, and its consequences on society and relationships, is a subject that resonates across the world. We hope you look forward to this title's gameplay, entering the world of warped human desires and casting judgment on the targets you find there. So, yeah, lengthy little interview. Hope my pronunciation and everything was bearable. I apologize if it wasn't, but yeah, bunch of little new info here and there on Persona 5 that we didn't know before. Really interesting stuff. This cast seems very interesting. One big thing I'm wondering, is this like the entire playable cast? Because you know they're putting a lot of info and emphasis on these characters, but we haven't seen any others yet. And if this is everybody, I can deal with it. You know, I like having big parties in my RPGs, so I like switching my people up. But if this is it, I'm cool with it, because they do seem to be giving a lot of heavy emphasis on each and every character. I think the least one would be Ryuji. No, Ryuji's the blonde haired dude. Can't remember the blue haired dude's name, even though I like read it up there, but yeah, blue haired guy who's the artist. He seems to be getting the least amount of attention, but he was revealed last. So yeah. Anyways, leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about all this glorious Persona 5 news? I want to hear your thoughts. Any fan theories, I am very welcome to hearing. I like reading those. So leave your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.